News. Okay. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Joining us is Mike Elk, a native of Pittsburgh. Mr. Elk is an award-winning labor journalist based in Washington, D.C. Um, he's appeared as a commentator on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, which I find hard to believe, NPR, Democracy Now, and of course the wonderful RT. He also writes for The Nation, The Atlantic, The American Prospect, and he's currently writing for In These Times. An all-around great guy. I'm sure his parents are very, very proud of him. He comes from a union household. Mike Elk, welcome.
All right, great to be on the show, Alan.
So let me ask you something. I became aware of you and your work through your numerous appearances on RT. I think it's fair to say you've probably got more time on RT than any other station out there. How often do you get on TV? And do you feel that because of your, shall we say, reality-based views, that you don't get as much airtime as you rightfully should?
No, I really don't get on TV that much. I just wrote a story today about scabs at a nuclear power plant in Massachusetts that could potentially cause accidents. And this should be a big news story, but it's not a big news story, and it hasn't been for a long time. And I think it's really tough to get on TV. I mean, even if you look at MSNBC and Ed Schultz and those kind of people, I mean, they don't want to criticize the Obama White House. They don't want to criticize anybody like that. And so I think it's tough to get on TV. And the other thing is that people want to do like the soup of the day, the reaction. This Republican said that. This Republican said this.
Very dramatic.
Yeah, and labor issues are tough to get a lot of coverage because it happens to maybe a couple hundred people in a couple places, maybe like a couple thousand in one place. It's not a big trend that people know about, and they're complicated to explain.
Right. I find it hard to believe that you were on Fox News, and I saw Outfoxed by Robert Greenwald, and it's kind of hard for me to understand this, and maybe you can help me. When liberals go on, and liberals do go on, but you know what Fox News really is. Fox News is not news, and you're just being cast as the foil. And do you feel do you feel conflicted about going on Fox News?
Well, actually, the only time I went on Fox News was I was outside the White House, and they came up and they asked me a question about Obama's health care. And that was the only time I was on there for about 30 seconds once because of that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you. You were on
But,
the
but,
Alone.
but, but to get to the question, a lot of workers watch Fox News. And, you go toe to toe with somebody, I'm not going to give up that whole demographic of people they're potentially reach out to by not going on.
But I'm just asking this. Maybe I'm playing devil's advocate. But aren't people that watch Fox News, aren't they even more misinformed? And aren't your words just going to be just fall on deaf ears regardless?
Yeah, but it's like a half hour of my time. Maybe you're on Fox News and you reach like 100 people that agree with you out of the hundreds of thousands that watch it. No, that's worthwhile as a journalist. Only a half hour.
Okay, fair enough. I saw you a few days ago. I want to say on the Alona show, where you were debating with that gentleman from the Reason Foundation, the Koch supported Reason Foundation, and when I see the things that the Koch brothers are doing, and I see people carrying their intellectual water, if you will. It seems to me like almost borderline sociopathy. I mean, these people just have no sense of compassion for the working man or for the downtrodden. Does it really get to you? Do you ever take it personally when people hold these kinds of beliefs?
No, I mean because I don't care. I mean I'm there to correct them. I don't think it gets me on a personal level. I mean they do their job, I do my job, and at the end of the day, I think history shows that those kind of guys wind up cracking. They have some sort of serious issue. I almost feel bad for the guys. Why would someone want to work at a place like that? They clearly have some other bigger issues psychologically they're working out. So I feel sympathetic, etc.
But isn't it sometimes, and maybe I'm just projecting myself and my own experiences, but isn't it hard to kind of take all these things in because it's not something that's just self-destructive. It hurts other people. It hurts all of us. Does that ever kind of weigh on your minds?
A little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think the whole Martin Luther King thing about, only love can drive out hate is just sort of how I feel about it.
Right, right. I want to ask you about the current situation of the American worker vis-a-vis our bigger economic system. Um, the labor fight is nothing new. I mean, it's gone back centuries. I think we're actually really having a second Gilded Age. I think that history is actually repeating itself, and we're seeing a lot of the same kind of labor struggles that we saw around the turn of the last century with the coal miners and the Ludlow massacre and all that, and the Rockefellers and all that. Um, well, what is the ultimate goal for these corporations? I mean, obviously, corporations are soulless. They're there just to exist. They exist just to make money, and that's their sole existent reason for existence. Um, what do you see as being their end game? What are they ultimately trying to accomplish?
I mean, they're ultimately trying to make money at the end of the day, and they're going to push, they're going to union bust, they're going to do whatever they need to do in order to do that. That's their end game. Even if the whole, I think the bailout era showed even if the House of Cards caves in, they'll get bailed out, they'll get some sort of protection. Well, regular folks don't, and then they can just take advantage of regular folks more. So I think they think there's a pattern there.
But I mean, obviously, it on some level, the adverse effects to society, which it's not even just a question of finances, a question of resources. It's a question, the social problems that arise from these economic policies that these CEOs and these mega corporations are pushing. I'm are these people, do they have no sense of pity? Are they not aware of the social consequences of their action, or do they just not care?
I think they always find a way to make an exception. Like, oh, what I'm doing is just so we can make profits, and that somehow these profits will help people. Or, oh, hey, I do something bad at the job, but I give money to the local food bank. So I think they try to find a way like that to do it.
I mean, are they completely cynical, or do they really believe in the mission of what they're doing?
I think most of them believe in what they're doing.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. I mean, you come from a union household. I don't know if you were ever a tradesman at any time, or you went straight to college. But how did you become a labor organizer? How did you get to do what you're doing now?
Well, my father was a union organizer, my grandfather was, and I grew up in Pittsburgh. That just seemed like what you do. And I worked as a union organizer for a little bit, and I wanted to get into writing. So I worked at a think tank for a while, writing on some economic, labor issues, etc. And then I started freelancing, and then I started writing full time for In These Times as a staffer. So that's how I got involved.
I was very, very disheartened by the failure of the recall election of Scott Walker, and just some of the things that he's been doing, where he's basically a puppet for the Koch brothers. And it's also doubly important because of Wisconsin's place in the history of the Union and in union politics. Wisconsin has always been historically a union state. So what does this forebode for the future of the unions in this country?
I think there are going to be more attacks on public employee unions around the country. I think it's going to hopefully lead the labor movement to ask some very serious questions about how to organize. If you understand what happened in Wisconsin, they had a rule there, part of the law, that said that there could no longer be automatic dues deduction for members. So they had to sign people up one by one to become part of the unions. And the unions were so weak that they could not even sign up half of their members. And I think that's the real issue there, is that they have to change from a representational model to a model of actually getting people to stand up for themselves. And I think the labor movement has been very top-heavy in doing that, and has not done a great job at that.
And last question. I want to ask you about the presidency, or the presidency of Barack Obama. And I think many of us, or most of us, were ecstatic when he won, and we felt that it was the beginning of a new era. And we came in with great expectations and hope and change and all that. And I know you've been critical of the president. Um, why do you think that the president has not taken the stands that we expected him to? Why has he been so close with Wall Street? Why have all these terrible things that have been going on lately been happening on his watch? What do you think?
I think organized labor hasn't really done much to stand up for itself. And I also think the system is so rigged that he would rather be in bed with these big corporations than an organized labor that's automatically going to support him. And I think that's ultimately, at the end of the day, why President Obama does what he does. Is that he's already got labor in the bag. He needs other people in the bag. He needs more campaign money. He needs their support getting stuff done. So that's why I think at the end of the day, he doesn't support labor much.
Oh, cynical indeed. Well, thank you very much for your time,
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Mike Elk.